Welcome back. This is RGB Dragon with What Gamers Love, and today I'm going to be doing a video on scanning, specifically probe scanning. This is something I've talked about before, and I think it's something that is super helpful. So I'm actually just on my way to Heck right now. I'm going to fit up a new ship for this. This is my Arazu, a Cloaky Force Recon, which I absolutely love this ship. It's wonderful for wormhole dives, for scouting, for tackle, just a lot of cool things that you can do with this, but not very new player friendly. So I'm going to fit up an Astero and we'll talk about scanning. So before we dive into that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the giveaway that I'm currently running through the end of the month. So there's a few more days left. I'm going to put a link in top corner right now, and then also at the end of the video. So head over, watch that video, see the instructions on how to sign up. Even if you're a new player, I'm sure you've learned something helpful that you can put in the comments to sign up for the giveaway. And what's cool about it is I'm actually going to give away a skin for the Astero, and if I get enough new subscribers, up to 75 on the channel, then I will give an exclusive skin away for the ship, but also the ship. So the grand prize will win the actual Astero, and we'll win the fit that I'm going to put together in just a minute. So if you could please head over and check that out, that would be great. It helps to grow the channel. Alright, so one of the reasons why I'm really excited to do this video is that I think there's a huge need for it. All the time I see new players or low skill point players rushing into doing relic and data sites and things like wormholes and a nullsec, and they like have an awesome haul of stuff, and then they get blapped and they die, they rage quit, or they just get pissed off. So you know, there's a few things to talk about there. One, exploration is a really fun and engaging way for new players to make really good ISK. But as all things, people always say, well, I could do more if I just go to a more dangerous system. So it's natural and understandable why people end up in wormholes. But there's a few things that you need to know before I think you just go off and start doing risky stuff. The first is that people are always out to find you, and you gotta expect that they're going to. And so how do you protect yourself is key. I'm not going to get into all the things like local and descan in this video, but the point of this video is going to be talking about how to use good scanning techniques to increase the speed at which you can do things and minimize the amount of time that you are at risk because you are, you know, just floating around in space trying to scan down signatures and things like that. So speed can be very helpful. You know, the most important thing down the road is that if players train into being able to fly with covert ops cloaks, then you can warp to a safe in a system, you can cloak up, and you can scan to your heart's content, and people can't find you. Now, they will see your probes out on their own D-scan, so a cloaky scout would know that you're there because they would see the probes, and they'd be like, okay, well, someone's here, and if I wait around, I might catch someone that's running a site. So again, speed of scanning is super helpful. So yeah, so that's really the point of the video. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk for a minute about the fit, and then we'll talk about some skills, and then we'll dive into the actual scanning kind of help video. So first thing, Astero is a great ship because it's bonused for a lot of different things. It's bonus for drone hit points. You know, you're typically not going to fit any type of turrets or anything like that, and you're just going to be relying on your drones. So simple flight of light hobgoblins or something like that, you've got 25 megabits. You can fit 5 light drones. This will help them to survive. You've got a bonus to your armor resistances, and then you have the kind of roll bonuses. You can fit the cloaking device. You've got strength bonuses to your scan strength, so your probe launcher will be able to scan strength better, so you can get harder signatures or get signatures faster. You've also got a bonus to your relic and data analyzer. So these modules, which is what you actually hack relic and data sites with, you have a higher virus strength, so that's super helpful. So this is a great ship for doing cloaky exploration to go about and run these types of sites. There are also some really interesting PvP fits, but we won't really cover that in this video. So alright, so we've got low friction nozzle joints to help us to align faster. So you have a sub 2-second align time, which will help you avoid gate camps when you are trying to, you know, if you went into null, you had a good haul, you're trying to make it back out with your loot. you need a sub 2 second to try to avoid gate camps. We've also got a small ancillary current router for cap and fit. In the mid slots, we've got an afterburner, a scram, and then obviously the data and relic analyzer. And then the low slots, we're trying to build upon the armor tank that the hull naturally has. So you've got an armor repper, a damage control, a multi-spectrum, and then the micro auxiliary power core helps for CPU fitting. So if I were to simulate this, you'll see you've got pretty good omni resists, a little bit weak on explosive, but pretty good here. And with our armor repper doing 120 HP per 4.5 seconds, it's got a little bit of survivability. But the main thing you're going to want to do is try to get away quickly. So if someone were to track you down, then ideally you would want to scram them to shut off their micro warp drive, have your AB running, try to get away from them, get out of point or scram range. You're running 1800 meters per second, which is pretty good. So chances are you've got some get out ability to shut down their micro warp drive, hopefully be faster than them unless they're in a fast frigate, and be able to get away. So that's kind of your survivability. You also, there weren't any drones in the system, so I'm going to pick some up, but you can run a flight of light ECM drones that can be helpful to shut down their ability to target you, which would drop a point or scram, and then you can just bug on out of there. So some good survivability from that. Let's look at the skills. So skills in scanning are super important for two things. One, you need to be able to actually get the signatures and get them quickly. So things like astrometrics, astrometric pinpointing, range finding and acquisition, these all boost either your scan probe strength or they reduce the time for the scanner to actually work. So these are super important. I would highly recommend at least getting these, like I have here, up to the 4th level. You can see that level 5 in all these takes a significant time investment. So if you were doing this as a long term and you love to do the exploration, then you might go further with level 5s. I have done plenty of exploration, wormhole diving, and things like that with just level 4s, and it's worked out okay. The other thing you can do is you want to upgrade the ability for your relic and data analyzers to help you get through the minigame sites. So you want to train archaeology and hacking, as those improve your virus coherence, which is basically how much health you have for making mistakes and things like that within the minigame. So I have those to 4 and 3. That's only a 2-day train. I should probably train that one up too, but I just haven't done it yet. So that is the fit and the skills. So the other thing that you could do if you were really looking to get further into this gameplay in nullsec and wormholes would be to get some implants that would also help boost your stats. So you can see here under skill hardwiring, there's scanning implants. So slot 6, you've got reduction in scan deviation. You have reductions in scanning time for slot 7. In 8, you've got additional scanning strength, which is super helpful. Some of the sites in nullsec specifically, you can't scan down without max skills or with some implants. You've also got on slot 9, pretty pricey here, but like virus strength and virus coherence, things like this that help you with your actual hacking game. And then slot 10, same thing, but this is for on the relic side. So some really good implants that if you're looking to really do this and do a lot of null or wormhole dives, everything you can do to improve your speed at running things is going to help you to have less chance of being ganked because you are on field and vulnerable for less time, and that's a big key. Alright, so we're going to get into the actual scanning tips in just a second, but I do want to address a few other things. I didn't really touch on this before, but I do highly recommend running a Sister's Core Probe Launcher and Sister's Core Probes instead of just the standard Tech 1 items, as this does help increase your base sensor strength, which again, increasing your base sensor strength just means that you'll be able to lock down these signals much faster. And speed is king. If you can't afford to fly a ship that's at least a little bit set up like this, then I would ask yourself if you're really ready to go scan in a whole bunch of wormholes, because you're accepting a lot of risk to do so. But anyways, so what I do that is super helpful is understanding the layout on my screen and how I have hotkeys set up so that I can do things very quickly. So if I were to jump into a new system, and I'm just going to do some stuff in high sec here just because it's easier while doing screen recording. But first thing you have to do is you have to uncloak yourself, and then you can launch your drone. So if you can launch your pinpoint formation, pretty much always use this. And then I hit the F9 on the keyboard, which is a hotkey to pop open the solar system map. Now if you have the ability to cloak, now's a good time to go ahead and pop your cloak. And if you were in hostile space, I would go ahead and warp off to a celestial at range. This is especially effective in wormholes, but just make sure you've scanned your wormhole bookmark before you do that, so that if you need to bug out back to high sec or wherever you came from, you've already got that saved and you don't have to scan down that wormhole signature. So anyway, so we're gonna kind of do that. I cloaked up, warped off. The first thing that I always do is I always start my scans at 8 AU. Signatures can only spawn a certain distance from another celestial. So you can't, in a system like this that's 25 AU across, there would not be any signatures that would show up, say over here where my mouse cursor is, because they are too far away from any celestial. So if I see that this signature is showing that it might be somewhere over here, but my nearest celestial is likely this one, then what I do is I go to 8 AU, I click and drag this over to this celestial, and with an 8 AU scan on that, I'm gonna really get a good first ping on it. You notice me move this. If you hold down Alt and scroll your mouse wheel, that very quickly changes your AU. And then the hotkey that I use to scan is B, so just hit B, and it'll immediately start scanning there. Once you get used to all of the different hotkeys and shortcuts, you can go through this activity very, very quickly, which is the point, to minimize the amount of time that you're on field doing it. So it immediately pinged it here. I can click and drag, then I can double click because the height may be variant since this is 3-dimensional space. So I double click and it immediately just pans the camera. I can go up. Now I can Alt mouse wheel down to 4 AU and hit B again. So as we get pinged in on the signal and our signal strength increases, in order to get it further we have to drop the AU so that our probes are essentially scanning at a higher strength. Click, drag, double click, check my height, Alt mouse wheel down, hit B. You can see if you learn those hotkeys, you can go through and you can really start pinpointing stuff down quickly. The other thing you can do is you can hold down the right mouse button to pan, and then you can, while you're doing that, go ahead and click the left mouse button so you have both down, and with both you can drag and zoom in the camera. So it's pretty easy to reposition as you're getting tighter, and you can just keep repeating that process. You can also mouse wheel zoom. So you mouse wheel zoom and right click drag. Once you're in to about 2 AU, the height is not really going to change as much, so you can stop doing that. But you can see here we've already got at 100%, so we could warp to this wormhole and get there pretty quickly. So that is a very quick how-to on how to scan things down very quickly using hotkeys and shortcuts. So another little tip that helps you out is that I always run with, you can't see it here now, I run with 16 of the probes, so that as soon as you launch probes, your ship will automatically reload the next ones. So let's say if I was going to go into that wormhole, I could just pop in my probes, I can warp to it, I'm going to warp at range so that I stay cloaked and don't decloak myself. Again, one of the best things for doing safety is to always gather as much intel as you can before you commit to something. So even though this is high sec, I could warp to this and I could see that a potentially hostile ship is like on grid and jumping through the wormhole right when I land. I might want to follow them if I was hunting players. Let's say a newbie scanning ship was going through and I was wanting to go after them. I would want to hold the intel that I'm here by remaining cloaked and staying at distance, and then I could potentially follow them and find them. But With wormholes, you do always want to check and see. This one is reaching the end of its lifetime, so this one would not actually be a good one to explore because it could potentially close behind me and I'd be stuck in that system and have to find another way back out. But, you know, again, that's not really the purpose of this video, but I did want to show you. So if I was diving in, I had recovered my probes. These are already here and active. So as soon as I jump through, I wouldn't have to worry about uncloaking and reloading to launch my probes. I would just double click in space, launch the probes, warp off, and cloak. And again, my amount of time that I am on grid, visible, and attackable is minimized. So it's very helpful to run with 16 so that you can do that. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you have a chance to win not only this ship, but this cool skin to go along with it. All you got to do is go watch the giveaway video and put a comment in, and that's all you got to do. So please go check that out now if you haven't done so already, and thanks for watching. Take care and fly safe.